Hey everyone, and welcome back to openMSX, the MSX emulator that aims for perfection. The previous video dealt with selecting machines and how to add media such as ROMs or disks. In this video, we'll have a look at some of the settings we can modify. Clicking on Settings reveals 7 submenus. You'll find that parameters for video, sound, speed, input and the GUI are neatly organized into their respective submenus, while MISC contains everything that didn't somehow fit into the rest, or the advanced submenu. Looking at the video submenu, a bigger window pops out where, amongst others, you can modify the scale factor. MSX only had a very limited resolution compared to our modern systems, so limited in fact that the option for 1:1 scaling has been dropped from openMSX altogether. Depending on your configuration, you might want to change the default value of 2 to 3 or 4. Normally I find 3 times to be quite comfortable. There's always the full screen shortcut, Alt and Enter if you want the, well, full screen experience. Scan lines will emulate the way an old-fashioned CRT monitor would build up the screen. The default value is 20. Move it all the way up to 100, and under Colors, change the monitor type from normal to monochrome green and go full screen with Alt and Enter. Now tell me this does not make you feel nostalgic. Switch back to normal if you want to see more colors again. And there's more. The display can be deformed so that it looks like it's tilted back and has a fake 3D effect, for those of you who want that, well, genuine arcade feeling. Since openMSX aims for accuracy, you probably won't have to modify most other parameters. If, accurate as it may be, you don't like the sprite flicker in your games though, then under the advanced video settings you can uncheck the Enforce VDP sprites per line limit option. openMSX will then ignore the 4 or 8 sprite per line limitation of the MSX 1 or 2 respectively. Be careful though, some games will behave erratically when you enable this feature. Under Sound, you can modify the system volume of your MSX, so if 75 is too high for you and you don't want to change your Windows, Mac or Linux volume settings, this is where you will need to be. Muting is also an option, and you can even choose which resampler should be used. Switch to Blip or Fast if you experience performance problems. There are a few more things you can do to boost the performance of your virtual MSX. Check out the Speed submenu, where you can modify the speed of the entire emulation and even the clock frequencies of the processors themselves, the Z80 and the R800 if you're using a Turbo R. Be careful with changing the processor clock frequency though, as a lot of software depends on the default values and a crash will probably be your share sooner rather than later when you exaggerate these values. Don't say we didn't warn you. Are you in love with cassette games but not with their loading times? Good news! Especially for you and everybody else, the option to go full speed when loading has been added. This only has an effect on loading times in the emulator, but believe me, you won't mind loading cassette games anymore after this. Under Input, you can control auto-fire settings if your machine supports the so-called Renshaw Turbo. By default, the keyboard mapping is so that the characters you type on your keyboard are the same ones sent to your MSX. At least, that's what openMSX is trying to do for you behind the screens. Pro tip: in case you haven't figured it out yet, hovering over an option gives you more background info and will also allow you to restore the default values in case you were a bit enthusiastic with all your changes. What's the difference between these 3 options? Well, openMSX will happily tell you. Concisely, it won't go all ChatGPT on you. Via Configure MSX joysticks, you can select one of 4 joysticks and bind a key on your keyboard to them. There's a button at the bottom of the screen that will map some default settings for you. Why make life difficult? Click on Default Bindings, Keyboard and Replace Current Bindings. The up, down, left and right directions have been assigned to the cursor keys on the keyboard. For button A, we need to press the spacebar, and for button B, the letter M. It does not stop there, of course. If you have a joystick connected to your computer, you can assign the virtual joystick buttons to buttons on your joystick as well. Let's have a look at how that works. I'll start by removing the current bindings, just to make sure. My joystick is connected, so all I have to do now is click on each Add button and then assign a corresponding button on the joystick. Click, 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 and there we go. Ready. If for some reason your joystick doesn't work in the game you're playing, make sure that you've configured the same joystick as the one you've selected in the connectors menu, where you virtually plug in joysticks or mice, printers, etc. Need more buttons? We've got you covered with the emulation of the Joy Mega. By default, it only uses the same 6 bindings, of course, but you can add more yourself, should you need them for anything. The GUI is the graphical user interface. You can't change the MSX font here or anything, but if you're a developer, for instance, who has arranged his debugger windows in a particular way on their screen, then you could save this layout so that later on you can restore it again. Talking about developers and debugging, the shortcuts you can edit all refer to the debugger. Skip if this is too advanced for you. Advanced. Yes, that's the last submenu we have to tackle. If you're looking for a setting, it's here. Literally, all settings available are listed, and the thing is, it's not really inside the scope of this particular video to dive into all of them, you know. There's a reason many of them can only be found under the advanced section, and the reason is, don't touch them unless you know what you're doing, or you're feeling a bit frisky. Well, that's it for this video. In the next video, we'll have a look at some of the tools openMSX has to offer. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or you want to stay updated, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next one. Happy computing!